What's trending today?
To give us an update on what's going on in Washington, D.C., and a heck of a lot more, I'm excited to have on the program. Great personal friend, great friend of the show here as well. My personal congressman here in the Wichita area from the 4th Congressional District from the great state of Kansas. It's Congressman Ron Estes. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Andy?
I am great. It is great to have you on. Happy New Year to you. And boy, I have to say, starting off 2023, you guys have really set a new trend here in Washington. It's been fun to watch the last week.
Yeah, well, we hit the ground running, made a big bang as far as getting things started, which is important to get things out and be transparent about what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Before we get into some of the issues that you guys have started doing this week, let's talk about the Speaker's vote last week. It took 15 votes, the first time we've seen it go to 15 rounds in over 100 years in the country. We had the 2022 conservative holdouts that really were trying to rein in Kevin McCarthy on multiple issues. At the end of the day, though, I mean, Matt Gaetz came out and said we've run out of things to ask for. We've run out of things that we can work on for transparency, capping the budget, working as a Republican legislature, and working on Republican items. How confident are you going into the new year now that we've put these restrictions on and these transparencies on the Speaker, and that we can actually see some possible Republican agendas coming out of the House?
Well, I think last week was really good and useful. I mean, we spent a lot of time. Actually, we'd spent several months talking about what we'd like to see in the rules and how to make a rules package that helps make sure that good Republican policies, good fiscal conservative policies are brought forth and voted on. And over the years, and actually this kind of started with Newt Gingrich a little bit. Over the years, the Speaker's office has assumed more power and basically pulled in authority into the leadership roles between the Republican and Democrat leaders in the House and Republican and Democrat leaders in the Senate. And so a lot of the things we put into the rules are how do we get more grassroots involvement? How do we use the regular order process, the committees to do their job, the actual processing and discussion and debate, instead of saying, here's a bill that's been crafted together in closed room and it's been cobbled together with all these wish list items in order to get enough votes, and you have to vote yes or no. We want to have a good open debate about it, and so it ends up, as you talk through that, it's a bit of a change of way of doing business, and some of the things even like Pelosi had changed the rules when she became Speaker 4 years ago and eliminated the one person being able to make a motion to vacate the chair. And so that was one of the things that got a lot of media attention, but basically we're going back to the way we've been doing it for almost 100 years, other than when Pelosi was Speaker.
Man, imagine that, getting back to normalcy in Washington, which I know that you've been part of the bill that was presented, the Restoring Normalcy in America Act, is trying to get rid of some of the COVID mandates, trying to get Congress to act normal again. Where are we with this bill, and when could we start seeing things act normal? I mean, we've already seen the first day after you guys got sworn in and things getting back into action, we saw a 2-page bill. Not a 2,000-page bill, a 2-page bill to refund or defund a lot of that expansion of the IRS and those 87,000 IRS agents. I don't remember the last time I've seen a 2-page bill get on the House floor and actually get passed.
Yeah, it really is important. And talking about that, the bills that we bring forth, we know the Senate's not going to pass all of them, but we're going to still push them with good Republican policies and bring those forth and actually talk about where the country ought to go. And then the debate can shift to the Senate and they can explain to the American people why they're not going to pass this legislation. And you mentioned the bill that I introduced today, the Restoring Normalcy in America Act. COVID's winding down. And, if you listen to President Biden, back in September, he said, the pandemic's over. Yeah. And, we've had the vaccine out there for 2 years now. And people, yes, I mean, there's still people getting sick, occasionally catching it, just like they catch the flu and catch colds all the time. And that's probably going to be the way life is moving forward, just like any other flu season that comes through. And so what our bill is, the Restoring Normalcy in America Act, is designed to say, okay, we put the vaccine out there for COVID in a expedited fashion. We use the emergency use authorization through FDA to get it out before it had spent years in testing. for the treatment methods. And let's get back to the normal way of doing things moving forward. And so that's a piece of the bill. Another piece of the bill is let's make sure that Health and Human Services analyzes what's the effectiveness of treatments, what's the effectiveness of the vaccine, how does it COVID transmitted, what information do we have that looked at where it originated and kind of get out of the politics of COVID and focus on what's the facts and what's the science behind it. And then one of the pieces of it that's so important to me is so many people in the military, federal agencies, healthcare workers, aerospace workers were forced off of their job because President Biden mandated that they had to get a vaccination. And we want to restore them back to normalcy as well. Allow them to get their jobs back. Allow them to not have a record that shows that they were terminated and disciplined because of they chose, whether it's for religious reasons or medical reasons or anything else, but let them get back to life as normal in America. And that's a big piece of what we want to accomplish with this bill.
Boy, I love it. Getting things back to normal as if COVID-19 never happened, we can actually get back to a little bit of normalcy. I love the fact that we're trying to focus on the military and those that have been booted out. If this does go through and we're able to implement this, those that had to be booted out, that were removed from the military, would they be able to come back if they chose?
Oh, that would be my intention. That's the way we worded the bill, was that specifically people could get back in the military, get back in their jobs in the federal government or healthcare workers or in the private sector as well. But and also a piece that we included in that is that they not have a mark on their record. I mean that's a piece, particularly if you're in a career path, and this is true in the military in a lot of ways that sometimes you get dinged for one particular thing that disrupts your entire career. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen to these individuals who've made a choice based on the best facts and their analysis of the facts, as opposed to some of the politicalization that was done around COVID and the treatments and the vaccine.
Amen to that. We're talking with Congressman Ron Estes from right here in the 4th Congressional District of Kansas, my home district. You're on the Ways and Means Committee, and you and I have talked about this many times before regarding the budget and our frustration of passing these massive omnibus packages and then extending it out till December with the continuing resolutions and not having an actual 12-piece appropriations budget. It sounds like, according to newly elected Speaker Kevin McCarthy, that we might actually see that go into this year. How confident are you in that process now?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that that's going to happen. And what our plan is on the House, I mean, all appropriations bills have to originate in the House, and that's a key piece of what we're going to do. And our plan is to make sure that we pass all 12 appropriations bills out of the House for the 12 different areas of the government. One deals with defense, one deals with the Veterans Administration, one deals with labor and health and human services. So that's how we broke down to 12 bills. And we're going to pass those out of the House of Representatives, send them over to the Senate. After we pass all 12 of those, we're going to pass a CR, a continuing resolution, at 1 or 2% reduction of last year's spending rate. We're still sorting through how do we do that, so that if the Senate doesn't act, there is a continuous resolution out there. But, oh, by the way, they've got to face the consequences that it's not spending money as usual. Got to go back and address that. And so we're focusing on how do we change the process and how do we start to address our fiscal responsibilities in the government. That's a huge thing that's been neglected for so too long. Oh, so too long.
Congressman, you're getting me way too excited here, hearing about a 12 appropriations process for our budget and a continuing resolution with a 1 to 2% budget cut in here, because it's going to come with the fact that Democrats still have the U.S. Senate, and it's going to be a debate back and forth on how to finalize a budget by the end of the year, or even the budget deficit cap, where we run out of money probably in summertime, where it's going to be a standoff of them saying Republicans are unwilling to waver, unwilling to work with us. They're the ones shutting down the government, and it's all their fault. That's been my concern with Kevin McCarthy when he first announced he was going to be Speaker, was will we be able to stand that type of bad media and that bad publicity from the mainstream media? Are you guys prepared for that battle?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough thing, and we don't know. Secretary Yellen hasn't publicly talked about when she expects to actually run out of borrowing authority through that. And after Treasury runs out of borrowing authority, then there's extraordinary measures they can do, not load money into pension systems and other accounts, so that they can then actually keep paying the bills while we talk through that. So that's kind of been the approach the last 10 or 12 years going through that. What we've got to fundamentally change the process, and part of it starts with the budgeting process, because it's devolved into a scenario where you almost have to start increasing spending, and so we've got to focus on that. Today, the steering committee has come up with the four larger committees, the four main committees, the membership for that, so we can all start working on that. And we've got our committee chairs identified on budget, ways and means, and appropriations to start doing the work as part on that. And what we need to do on the debt ceiling is we've got to figure out a way to how do we change the process for the long term, so that we can get out of spending more money every year. And it's going to be challenging as interest rates are going up. Right now, the last the base budget and the base appropriations that President Biden's operating under is a $1 trillion deficit each year.
Each year. I tell you what, Congressman. Congressman, hold that thought. I don't want to cut you off here. We got a hard break coming up here, but I want to keep you along. One more segment here with Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th District of Kansas, and I appreciate all the time you give us here. I want to continue this conversation when we come back, because this is going to be a big battle in Congress. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Darn right it is. Welcome back into the program. 24 minutes past the hour. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch, listen to the program. What up? Happy middle of the week right now. We got a few minutes left here with Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th Congressional District right here in the state of Kansas, where I'm hailing from, with our flagship radio station, although we have multiple radio stations everywhere. So getting an update of what's going on in D.C. as we talk about that. I'm telling you, I'm getting excited, man. 12 appropriations budgets. It's the little things. I geek out on these things. It's okay. 12 appropriations bills, a continuing resolution that actually cuts the panic from the left. And, again, it's going to be the playing of chicken on whether they bully Republicans into voting. Well, we can't shut down the government, let people die in the streets. We can't be doing something like that. What's wrong with you guys, right? But it's been an ongoing battle, and I think that, as Congressman, you said going into the break, that we've done things so wrong for so long that it's going to take a while to clean this up, but I am optimistic that we're working in the right direction here.
It really is, and we're, in conference, a Republican conference, we're motivated to help change things. We recognize there's a problem out there. We know we're swimming upstream against the forces that kind of have made this the natural process, and change is difficult. And so I know we're going to continue to have lots of debate and discussion as we move forward, but we've got to do this. I mean, we think about, kids and grandkids and future generations all along. We can't burden them with the debt and the issues that are being passed right now. Yeah. And particularly, as we spend right now, President Biden's administration showing that they're going to spend $1 trillion a year more than they take in, which just increases the debt. And now that interest rates are going up, that's going to increase how much we have to spend every year just to pay off that interest. And so we've got to change that process. So I'm looking forward to being engaged. I think we'll have a lot more of some good, healthy debate, and we'll focus on what we can do the right things. And I look forward to the House of Representatives leading the way to do that.
Yeah, me as well. I loved seeing the actual first real debate that I've seen in Congress for a really long time happen with that speaker's vote last week. So the fact that we're actually engaging, and is so many of them said, it's not a personal thing when that vote happened. It was really just the ongoing debate that needs to happen to really tighten things up and tighten up the ship there as well. We're talking with Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th District here in Kansas. Let's talk about some of the new committees. The January 6th committee is out. It's gone. Goodbye. Sayonara. See you later. We're seeing some new ones come up, though, with the investigation on the new classified documents from the Biden administration, which I kind of chuckle about. Also, the weaponization of government, with us trying to defund that expansion of the IRS. Talk about some of these, and again, could we actually expose some of the corruption going on in D.C. as well? This sounds pretty insane.
Well, it really is highlighted. The news that came out this week that President Biden had classified documents in his records as vice president, where he should not have had, period. And the whole aspect that the Department of Justice created a special prosecutor to go after President Trump. And at the same time, in November, before the election, they knew about this information from President Biden's office, and they didn't do anything about it. And in fact, they tried to cover it up. And so, that's one of those things. There are some individuals, it's very evident in the FBI, in the Department of Justice, that really have, they're not fulfilling their obligation, and they're running a reputation. I mean, the FBI has been the gold standard for years in terms of how to investigate and prosecute and be the criminal investigation at a federal level, and open and honest and doing the right things and
clean up the corruption. Exactly. Yeah. It's what it is. Congressman, I hate to cut you out. We got just a couple seconds here, but real quick in the last about 15 seconds here, what's on the slate for the next day or two?
Yeah, well, the excellent part is we've got several bills teed up. Now, one of the things that we're probably going a little slow this week,
sure,
compared to what we plan to do, and the reason being is we want to get the committees formalized so that we can do full and open debate within our committees.
Yeah.
And that's happening next.
That's happening next. I love it. Congressman, it's so great to talk to you, my friend. Keep up the fight. God bless you. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you again here real soon. Right back after this here on The Voice of Reason.